With the 2023-24 NBA season wrapped up, the buzz is all about the 2024 NBA draft. Or is there actually any buzz? I mean, multiple NBA executives are calling this year's draft class the worst draft they have ever seen, and you can't really blame them. Unlike previous years, there's no standout stars like Victor Wembanyama, Zion Williamson, Paolo Banchero, or Cade Cunningham to dominate the conversation. Instead, there's a heated debate over which players have the highest floors and upsides. Names like Zachary Richichet, Alex Sarr, Donovan Clingan, Ron Holland II, Reed Sheppard, Stephon Castle, Devin Carter, Robert Dillingham, and Matas Buzelis are pretty good picks for any franchise. But the 2024 NBA draft class isn't getting much love from experts. Compared to the 2023 draft, it's looking pretty weak. Last year was stacked with talent from both overseas and American college basketball. In 2023, everyone was buzzing about Victor Wembanyama, the top pick by the San Antonio Spurs. No surprises there. Brandon Miller went second to the Charlotte Hornets and seems like a solid partner for LaMelo Ball. Scoot Henderson, picked third by the Portland Trail Blazers, had a rough start but showed promise towards the end of the season. For 2024, the buzz isn't nearly as loud. Another French player, Zachary Richichet, was the top pick and was selected by the Atlanta Hawks. At 18 years old and 6'8", he's a top prospect and could fit into the team. There are debates about whether he's ready for the NBA, but his potential is undeniable. Alex Sarr, a 7'1" center, was picked up at number 2 by the Washington Wizards. He's been compared to Jaren Jackson Jr. for his defensive skills, which should translate well to the NBA. Ron Holland, an 18-year-old wing for the G League Ignite, is the most talked about American prospect. Standing at 6'8", Holland averaged 19.5 points in the G League. Initially the projected top pick, his stock dipped slightly due to injuries and concerns about his current skill set, but he still went 5th overall, selected by the Detroit Pistons. From the college scene, freshmen were once again in the spotlight. Kentucky's Reed Sheppard, the SEC Freshman of the Year, and Rob Dillingham got a top 10 pick, with Sheppard coming 3rd overall and Dillingham 8th. After back-to-back national championship runs, it was no shocker that the UConn Huskies are all over the mock drafts. 2 Huskies made it to the top 10, Stephon Castle 4th overall and Donovan Clingan 7th. March Madness standouts also made first-round appearances, like Purdue's Zach Edey, who went 9th overall, and Tennessee's Dalton Knecht at 17th, both of whom had 30-point games during the tournament. Overall, the perception of this draft class isn't great, to put it mildly. One major criticism is the lack of clear cash prize prospect. Prospects like Bronny, Wemby, or Shaq that got everyone all excited. It reminds you of the 2013 draft where Anthony Bennett went number 1. Bennett, who was a major bust, only played 4 seasons and averaged a measly 4.4 points and 3.1 rebounds per game. It's a draft that's often cited as the worst in recent history, though it did give us a few gems like Victor Oladipo, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Rudy Gobert. We've got some familiar concerns in this year's draft. No franchise-changing talent at the top, but a lot of depth. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Look at the 2020 draft, which also didn't have much hype beyond Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball. It turned out pretty well with all-stars like Tyrese Halliburton and Tyrese Maxey, plus solid role players like Desmond Bane and Jaden McDaniels. Sure, there aren't any complete products ready to take over the league, but there are plenty of players who excel in specific areas. Think of them as specialists who can carve out long NBA careers. You've got guys like Richichet, Reed Sheppard, Rob Dillingham, Dalton Knecht, and Jared McCain who can shoot the lights out. Then there are defensive anchors like Donovan Clingan. Diving deeper, some picks might be considered a steal. Dalton Knecht to the Los Angeles Lakers at number 17. I mean, how did many teams let this guy slip so far? Knecht was the best perimeter scorer in college basketball last season. He's got the physical tools to be a standout wing and looked like one of the best plug-and-play scorers in the draft. Sure, he might have been bummed to fall that far on draft night, but landing in LA is a dream. He's walking into a fantastic situation where he can thrive. Donovan Clingan to the Portland Trail Blazers at number 7. This pick was a steal. Clingan was widely seen as a top 3 prospect, and Portland snagged him at 7. Clingan is exactly what they need to anchor their rebuild. Great fit, great value. This pick just makes so much sense for Portland's future. On paper, yes, there were decent picks, but on the court, it'd be a different ballgame, literally. It is an interesting draft class, no doubt. Most top picks in the draft are college underclassmen or international teenagers. Zach Edey, a 7'4", 300-pound center from Purdue, has dominated college basketball, becoming the first men's back-to-back Wooden Award winner since 1983. Edey was no doubt the draft's biggest winner. You see, the Memphis Grizzlies went all in on Edey with the number 9 overall pick after missing out on Donovan Clingan. Sure, some people might be scratching their heads since Edey was usually mocked to the mid to late picks. But hey, the Grizzlies saw something they needed: screening, interior scoring, and rebounding. Standing tall at 7'4", he's about to team up with Ja Morant, one of the league's premier playmakers. Ja can zip around, find Edey for easy lobs out of pick and rolls and quick cuts to the hoop. We saw his knack for grabbing boards in college. He's going to feast on those second chance points. Edey's not just getting Ja as a teammate though, he'll also share the floor with Marcus Smart and Jaren Jackson Jr. Smart's screen navigation will make Edey's job easier when defending pick and rolls. Meanwhile, Jackson Jr.'s ability to cover ground gives Edey some breathing room on defense. But it's not a one-way street. At 7'4" and 300 pounds, Edey's about to make life easier for everyone else too. He'll create space on the perimeter, setting up Ja to do what he does best: attack the paint. Steven Adams used to pave the way for Morant, and now Edey's stepping into that role, ready to make a big impact. He averaged 25.2 points per game on 62.3% shooting this past season. Impressive, no doubt, for a college kid. But there were debates about how his skills would fit in the modern NBA, as he was mostly just dominant up front, unlike another tall guy, Wembanyama, who can score and defend. Before the draft, scouts worried about his defense, passing, and face-up game, ranking him between picks 30 to 45 as a functional backup. But Edey still came in 9th in the draft. Another winner from draft night was Frenchman Alex Sarr. And let's take a moment to appreciate that France is quickly becoming the new hotbed for basketball talent, with Zachary Richelet going 1st overall and Alex Sarr going 2nd. In fact, 4 French players were taken in the top 25, setting a new record. Power forward Tijan Salarn went 6th to the Charlotte Hornets, and guard Pacome Diadet was picked 25th by the New York Knicks. Of these 4 Frenchmen, Sarr has the best shot at making an immediate impact, especially since the Wizards are heading into a major rebuild. Alex Sarr, the 2nd overall pick, is looking like a golden opportunity. He mentioned wanting to play in DC over Atlanta for the increased playing time he'd get as a rookie. With the Wizards' front court being extremely thin, Sarr's height, athleticism, and versatility make him an intriguing late-round pick. And how can we forget Bronny James? You see, LeBron James' son has some appeal, but his freshman season was delayed by a heart issue, and he averaged just 4.8 points on 36.6% shooting, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists in 19.4 minutes over 25 games. Most mock drafts didn't mention him, but the actual draft saw him being picked in the 2nd round. 55th overall to guess who? The LA Lakers. You can't help but feel for him because we all know that he was drafted because of LeBron, who could enter free agency this offseason. The Los Angeles Lakers drafted Bronny to fulfill LeBron's dream of playing with his son. In another universe in which he isn't the son of LeBron, he wouldn't be drafted. No hard feelings, but he probably would have still been drafted late due to how weak the draft class is. Not to take anything away from Bronny, who had a decent draft combine performance, but you know what I mean. It's going to take a lot of NBA games before we can definitely label 2024 as one of the worst draft classes ever, but do you think it's the worst from the picks?